Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to Satsang today. And it's a beautiful day here. It always means a lot to me that that people, of all the things you could be doing on a Sunday evening or a Sunday afternoon or maybe even a Sunday morning, that you would choose to be here, that you would choose to spend your time pondering the deepest truth, the most important thing, as far as I'm concerned, in the entire human kingdom. To spend the time to simply be present with yourself, to ask the deepest question there is, and that is, who am I? Who am I really? Not who I think I am, not what I've been told that I am, not what others say that I am, but who am I really? And it's a kind of inquiry that can't be made in the normal way we answer questions. It can't be answered academically or philosophically or theologically. Those are all thoughts. Those are generalized thoughts that somehow people think apply to me, right? But if you know yourself through a concept, all you know is a concept. Right? Satsang is an invitation to know yourself directly. What do I mean by that? Subjectively. Not through thought, not through any experience, not through any mentation or ideation. And it starts with the most simple recognition you can make. And that is the recognition, I am. I exist. I am here. Now that's self-evident, isn't it? Nobody told you that. Mom and Dad didn't sit you down one day to have a talk and say, well, you exist. You just knew. You've always just known. You've always been aware of your own being. Now, this isn't interesting to the mind. This is not the kind of thing that the mind gets excited about. Why? Because the mind is a mechanism, a tool we have to manipulate symbols. It doesn't know anything directly. It is just a bunch of thoughts, and thoughts are symbols. They are representations of something else. And so we manipulate these symbols. We come up with theories about the symbols. But what about that which the symbols are pointing to, the actual reality itself? The mind is not interested in you because it can't see you. It can't conceptualize you. Just that simple sense of being kind of throws the mind in a loop. It doesn't know what to do with that. You didn't make it. It didn't come from anywhere. It has no relationship to anything else. It's a knowing that is not relative to anything, has no other reference point other than itself. This is the most profound insight, revelation, really. And the whole point of satsang, really, the whole point of genuine spiritual growth is for us to get so interested in that we watch it constantly. We're constantly going back to that simple sense of I am, I exist. And when you do that, you find all sorts of things actually do begin to appear. In 2006, I believe it was, with the Hubble telescope flying out there in space, they decided to do a little experiment. And it was a month-long experiment. So this is not an inexpensive or insignificant deal when the Hubble telescope is focused on anything for a month. And what they focused on was just a tiny a square inch, like a postage stamp area of the sky that was believed contained nothing, that there was nothing there. And so they had it focused on that particular location where there was nothing visible for an entire month. And as the image began to develop, they were absolutely stunned. In that tiny little postage stamp size place in the sky, they found 2,000 galaxies, each with billions of stars each. Galaxies. They did it again about, I think it was 7 or 8 years later on another part, and they found 10,000 galaxies in what appeared to be just emptiness, just nothingness. Now, it took a lot of courage to actually focus it, because they might have discovered, well, there's nothing, there really isn't anything there. And of course, I'm sure there were a lot of people arguing, hey, there's more important things to do. There's more important areas to study. Why are you doing this? But they did twice. This is a hint for us. This is a metaphor. This is a myth we can look to say, why I don't know who I am is because I haven't sat with me enough. You know, there are some people who study insects, right? Study butterflies, and they're completely enmeshed and absorbed and even passionate about butterfly. They'll study it for 10, 20, 30 years. They know every little detail, because the more you look at something, the more of it comes into focus, actually comes into existence. So what about attempting to keep in the view of your attention that which is existence itself? This is what I urge. This is what satsang is about. When people first start trying to do that, it feels very uncomfortable. You almost have to do it because you trust the person who told you to do it, because the mind doesn't like it. Especially these days. I mean, there's not been a time in history where there's been more distractions for the average human being. It's just unfathomable, right? Get notifications on your screen. You got, 5 different windows open. You got 6 things going, and then you've got your email, you've got text, you got Instagram, you got Facebook. All of these are sending you messages, right? Everything to keep your attention focused anywhere but here. And when I say focus your attention here, what I'm referring to is bringing the attention back out of all of your engagements with experience, which is nothing but thought, emotion, and sensation. Pulling it back to the point where you're simply sensing. You can't even see it. You can't bring it into focus. You're simply sensing your own beingness, my own existence. And at first, the mind will go, well, so what? Okay, big deal. That was good. Now let's get on. Let's get back to business. Let's get into real life again. You go, wait, no. What if there's something here I'm not seeing? And the answer is you are. You aren't seeing it. There is something there, and you're not seeing it. And what is there? You, the real, absolute, magnificent, infinite, boundless you. That is what is there. And that's what you discover, because the more your attention is there, the more the ideas about you become evanescent. They become just kind of thoughts passing by. They lose their power. They lose their authority. And it's like, well, yeah, well, so what? It's like, yeah, okay, it's a thought. And it just like every other thought. And you've seen that the thought that you thought, oh, this is who I am, is now passed away, and there's something else. You go, the whole thing is just a bunch of clouds moving through the sky. Who am I? I'm the sky. The boundless, infinite, untouchable, unknowable, evanescent sky. So anyway, thank you all for being here. Welcome. I like to chit-chat a little bit while people are arriving. As you noticed, may have noticed I'm not sitting in front of all my flowers and stuff. They're over here because I wanted to share with you. This is very rare in Seattle to get, and it's still coming down. You might be able to see. It's a little blurry because of the camera lens right now to focus on me. But this almost never happens in Seattle. And it's been doing this like straight for 2 days. This has been so much fun. I even got that out to drive in it before the roads had been cleared. I love to do that. I know it maybe seems a little bit crazy, but I get to use the little 4-wheel drive switch on my car. So anyway, let me go back and say hello to everyone. Robert Dosa, good to have you. Good to have you. Sarah, hi G, we're all coming. Good. Hey, Sarah. Sarah's in France. Robert, I think I remember right. You're in England, Robert Dosa. David and Elaine in Southeast England, sub-zero and snow covered. Well, it's not sub-zero here. It's actually quite nice. But so glad you're here. Roberto in Madrid. Lisa on a snowy, wintry East Coast. I mean, it's the whole country now. Right? This is amazing. Crispin you're in Switzerland. That's right. God, one of the most beautiful countries on the face of the earth. Rosalind, good vibes. Hello to you. John Watson in Glasgow. John, anyone else without sound? Checking the audio. I don't think so. Never mind. It's good. Anja, hello, Anja. So glad to have you here. Dale in Massachusetts. Crispin, concerning discovering who we really are, who discovers this? Isn't it the mind that realizes the presence of it, the great I am, or vice versa? Can the I discover who I am? This is the secret of non-duality. What can know other than knowing? What can become conscious of anything other than consciousness? What can be aware other than awareness? What can know the I am other than the I am? This is the great mystery. See, if you say the mind realizes the presence, then there's two things. There's a mind and there's a presence, right? This is deeply mysterious. This is the heart and soul of it. This is the place where you go beyond the mind. What can possibly know you other than you? The mind is a series of thoughts that are known, aren't they? So the mind isn't a thing that knows. It's just a sequence of thoughts. Something else is knowing it. Same with your feelings, same with sensations, same with everything. Every experience, right, is known. That which is knowing it. That knowingness alone is being. Thoughts don't know themselves. The emotions don't know themselves. The sensations don't. Something else knows them. That knowingness knows itself. And the wonder of non-dual and awakening is to recognize that it is the I am knows the I am, and only the I am does. And that's the discovery that I am that. I am that I am. To put it in the biblical terms, that was the realization that Moses came to. He and God were one. In fact, all there was God. There was no Moses. Moses was a thought. It vanished in that fire, in that burning bush that so absorbed his attention that it burned away everything that wasn't him. And he became an enlightened being, and then fulfilled his particular role in history. And lots of stories about him and that sort of thing. And he may not even have existed. I mean, the story of the child that's going to be a deliverer, and the powers that be, whatever they happen to be, saying all children up to the age of male children up to the age of 3 should be killed. The child is somehow whisked away somewhere to be raised. I mean, it's a classic hero's journey story, right? So he may not even have existed. Mythologically speaking, the word Moses means, or Moises in the Hebrew, means taken from the water. And in the biblical symbology, the water represents the unconscious, the unformed. And so you have this, just like God calling forth the dry land out of the void, out of the sea, out of the water, represents that. It represents awakening. It represents the solidifying from the unconscious into the fully conscious. This is the path. So only God knows God. Only you know you. So it is you who is liberating himself from thoughts about you to be in the pure awareness that is you. This is very subtle, because at the end of this journey, the mind's got to, okay, awareness, pure aware, everything's pure awareness. And there's this subtle sense of there being someone or something or somebody who is aware, of which awareness is an attribute. The truth is, awareness is being. Sat Chit Ananda. Being, consciousness, bliss, or peace. Being and consciousness are one. You are the knowingness. You are not someone who knows. So that which awakens is awakenness itself. That which becomes fully conscious is consciousness itself. It's very subtle, folks, and it takes a willingness to ponder, to contemplate deeply, and to put your attention on that simple sense of your own being, because that's a fact. It's a place you can stick a stake in the ground. Everything else could be an illusion, right? You could be sound asleep in bed on another planet, dreaming this, right? But no matter how much of an illusion it is, how much of a hallucination there is, something is here perceiving it. That something is reality. That is awareness. The perceiving is awareness. And that is what you actually are. But not you, Crispin, not you, Dale, not you, Rosario. Those are all ideas. Those are thoughts. All of those thoughts related to the primary thought, which is I am the body. Every one of those springs from that. I am, full stop. That's the fact. Be with that long enough, and it will reveal itself to itself. Wow, we got right in the beginning, didn't we? Really jumped into there, into the meat of it. This is the great question, though. I remember asking this question early on, and I was so precocious and self-assuming, kind of, but I could see, I could just, well, what is it that's watching? I was right on the cusp of that duality, because there was still a duality there. There was still God and me, and I perceived, well, who am I? And in the New Thought churches, it was man is the reflection of God. Okay, well, what's doing the reflecting, I would ask. Nobody could answer it because they hadn't been exposed to this, but this is it. Who's doing the seeing? And if I see the presence, what's seeing the presence? That it comes down to that place that you can't go any further. And are you not there? Is that not you? Without mixing it up with anything else. Pure you. You without a name, you without you without a form, you without an identity. You are just the knowingness itself. Beautiful. Thank you, Crispin. Please follow up if you're if I didn't nail it for you. Rosario in Spain, also in Madrid. Robbie, hello everybody from Romania. Susan LaMonica from New York. Great to be here today. Great to have you. Hope you guys are loving my background here. You know, when the snow melts away, I'll put all my flowers back for my background. But it was just so beautiful. I wanted to include it. As always, I'd like to give a welcome to all my friends on the Enlightened World Network, and Dr. Ruth, who invited me to share satsang there as well, which is why I'm in both of those places, on YouTube and in this private Facebook group. I think next week I may just start sharing it in my own private group on Facebook. Still leave it wide open here on YouTube where anybody can watch. But I might do that. Yeah. So let's see. Roberto, what do you do with a nonsense mistake you made that is making your life miserable? Well, there's a variety of ways to approach it. First off, it is impossible to make a mistake. And what is a mistake? We did something, we thought it was going to do this, and it did that. And we said, I made a mistake, right? But in that moment, you didn't choose to do, okay, I'm going to do the thing that's going to give me the result that I don't really want. Nobody does that, right? So if you realize that what you did was make a choice according to the highest wisdom you had, the best information you had, right? And always tempered by the fact there's always emotions and stuff, and you know, our thinking and our feelings fluctuate constantly, right? And so in any given moment, what that decision is simply the only decision that could have been made in that moment. Now, let's look at it a little bit closer. Right? Now, before I do that, there's making your life miserable. No, your life is not miserable. You are interpreting it as miserable because you clutch to the result you wanted to have and you didn't get it. And that clutching is making it miserable. Your life's not miserable. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with your life if you're actually present with it. But your mind keeps you completely mesmerized by what, quote unquote, should have happened. And if I'd known better, it would have happened. Now let's take it even a step further. I want you to look, everybody look very closely. Look at your life, at all of the decisions you've made. Good ones, bad ones, put all that aside. What happened? Let's put the whole thing in slow motion and really zoom in on what happens in what we call the decision-making process. There's two directions, right? You say sometimes there's more, but let's say there's two directions. You don't know which one to go in, right? You do the research, you get the information, right? And then what happens? A choosing thought appears, right? Now, I want you to go right to the moment that choosing thought appears. Did you create that thought? Or did that thought just appear? Grab the attention of the system, and off you went in that particular direction. Now, look really, really closely, right? You'll find you've never chosen anything. It has always been the appearance of a choosing thought. And 2 or 3 thoughts later comes the thought, I chose that. You know, they've done studies. This is real. Let this sink in. They have done studies going all the way back to biofeedback machines. They first noticed this phenomena, that the cognitive part can study the brain. And after they got to MRIs, they could actually pinpoint it and verify the fact that this is really how it works. The cognitive recognition takes place after an action has already happened. You never do anything. Life is simply flowing. This is the reality. Then the mind gets in it. Actually, the part in the brain that lights up when a particular action begins, the choosing moment, right? And then, milliseconds later, the cognitive part activates, aware that this action has taken place. Now, the time slice is so thin that it feels as if it's instant, that it's actually happening. And then the mind interprets that as, I made that happen. The fact of the matter is, it had already happened. You didn't choose it. You see, you've chosen nothing in your life. Absolutely nothing. Life has just been happening. We don't control anything. We don't influence anything. It is just happening the way it is. This is deeply profound, deeply disturbing, because we are trying to control things, right? Trying to make things go the way we want. And you've never controlled anything. Life is happening just as it does. This is a revelation. It completely takes you out of the game of trying to control your life. It can make you so peaceful and so calm that you'll experience nothing but harmony, because life is harmonious. Only when our minds get involved and they say it should be different than it is, that is where suffering comes from. That is the misery. That's the misery you're experiencing. You're saying it shouldn't be this way. And I'm saying, yes, it should. How do I know it should? Because it is that way. So you drop the disagreement with reality and you step into the original innocence, purity, just harmony and fun. But the mind is an obsessive machine, right? And just keep digging deeper, because underneath that obsession, there's a fear of our own vulnerability. And why do we feel vulnerable? Because we've identified with the body. I am the body. The vulnerability of the body we take on as our own. Consciousness is not vulnerable. What can destroy space? And consciousness or awareness is that space-like beingness. You just are. Nothing can possibly change that. And now all of this is simply that which is pouring forth from that beingness. In other words, beingness seeing its own beingness in form. Does that help, Roberto? This is such a big one. Look for yourself. You can prove it for yourself. The choosing thought appeared. There was no chooser. You weren't there making a decision. It just, this thought appeared out of nowhere. Boom. So there is no chooser. Nobody's ever decided anything. There's only been choosing thoughts. And then the sense later on that somehow I did that. And then the judgment later on, oh, it should have gone this way because then I would have gotten, well, all of that's mental noise. It's nonsense. How could anybody deny that life shouldn't go the way life goes? Who the hell are we? What's that kind of arrogance that says life should be different? I mean, oh my God. If life had been any different, we wouldn't have had the capacity to sit here and have these delusions. We didn't create ourselves. We didn't make consciousness. Oh my. Is this helping, Roberto? My dear friend. Ursula, Madeira Island. Hello, hello. Andrew in Winnipeg. Wonderful. Dorte in, shoot. It jumps ahead on me. Dorte in Denmark. KT in London. Mary in Niagara Falls. Red Rose for you. Hi, GP. I think it would be great if you bring your guitar, piano to Satsang, all your gifts together to share with with the world. Can you imagine satsang with a little soft music here and there? I have at times actually done that, some of the meditations. I don't really have a piano. I do have my tongue drum that I use. I don't play guitar. I see you have the guitar there. I don't play guitar. If you've seen me when I was doing satsangs in New York, that was actually Evan's bass guitar. He plays very incredibly well, actually. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that again on some meditations. I like to keep satsang, the attention focused. I love soft music or just kind of like some sounds, maybe even nature sounds for meditation. I'm probably the only guy in the gym who's like listening to ocean waves while they're working out. For some reason, that whole, that pounding music just doesn't do it for me. So anyway, yeah, thank you for that suggestion, Red Rose, for you. And again, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Right? This is Valentine's Day Sunday. So if you have somebody special in your life, make them feel incredibly loved. And if you don't, well, make you feel incredibly loved and adored, because that's, what we see reflected back to us in relationships like that is really the self's adoration and appreciation of the self. When you're looking at your beloved, you're looking at God, you're looking at the self. And you're seeing through those eyes of love. And of course, through the eyes of love, does anything not look lovable? Isn't everything, when you're in love, doesn't the whole world just sing? It's like everything is coated in this beauty, like snow. It's like everything, this beautiful whiteness that's just wiping out everything unlike itself. Patricia, happy to see your face. To hear your melodious voice. Snow in Vancouver too. Yeah, all the way up and down the coast. It looks like snowing where you are. How do you get your vitamin D? I get out in the sun when we have it, but Seattle, I mean, I got a lot of sun when I was living in New Mexico, but Seattle, as you know, is cloudy a lot of the time. So I take a vitamin D supplement, also K and B complex, and I watch that kind of stuff, especially as being a vegetarian. You have to make sure you're getting the right amount of proteins and vitamins and things like that. It's easy to do. It's not like it's a big deal, but and you can actually get all of it from food, but I'm a bit lazy, so I take some supplements, some good quality, non-GMO, vegan capsule supplements. Robert's in Romania at the moment. Wonderful. Tatiana, hello everyone from very cold Toronto. Oh, Toronto's cold. It gets really cold. Happy Valentine's Day. I wish you experienced a huge well of love inside of you. Thank you. David H. GP the man. Dave here in Colorado. 0 degrees, snowscape with bright blue skies today. That's wondrous, isn't it? It's so amazing when the sky clears and the snow is so, I love the snow. So I missed living in Florida, and although it did snow in New Mexico up in the mountains where I was. Hello, Eva in Poland. Red Rose. Gee, is it possible to feel safe in an unstable environment where you never know when someone is going to be in a bad mood? I feel anxiety not knowing what to expect. How would you do EFT to that? Beautiful. Well, first off, there's no such thing as an environment that is not unstable. Okay, let's get that clear. Our desire to have everything be consistent and stable is irrational, and it's an impossible thing to accomplish. The only thing that is stable in the entire universe is you, the sense of beingness. So start there. And then notice how the mind says it's an unstable environment, it's not safe. Well, who said so? Right? Now, of course, if somebody's in a bad mood, they go off on you, it doesn't feel good, right? We don't really like it, you know, and we want to withdraw from that, right? And so when it happens, you know, what do? Well, you withdraw from it. It feels nasty, so you withdraw from it. You minimize contact. If you can get away completely, you do. And it's the smart thing to do. But now here's what happens. Something like that untoward in the environment occurs. It you know, it feels, ugh, you know, we don't like it. But then the mind starts going, well, how do we make sure this never happens again? Now that's totally irrational. That's the mind saying, how do we make the unstable stable? How can I completely insulate me from everyone in a bad mood all the time, so I never experience that again? You can realize when you really look at that, it's absurd. It's a silly idea. We don't want to be in such a sterile environment that nothing comes up. What we want is to have that sense of inner resiliency, equanimity, and resourcefulness that's quite capable of dealing with whatever comes up. As far as EFT is concerned, what I would start with, and this I may do a video on this one to just kind of give it the attention, because in Satsang I'm not doing EFT, but what you would start with is simply how you're feeling. It's impossible to feel, just take your words exactly as they are. It's impossible to feel safe in an unstable environment. I just never know what's going to happen. Of course I can't feel safe. Safety is impossible here. And really be with that, amplify it, right? Make it even worse than you think it is, right? So that you're not fighting with it. How do I get rid of this feeling, or how do I feel safe? Instead, you're just kind of putting it right out there. Complete and total embrace of what you said. Is it possible? I'm going to start by telling you, just act as if it isn't possible, right? Because if it's possible, the mind is trying to figure out some way to make it happen. But if you say it's impossible, can't do it, all of a sudden what has to happen is you have to settle into a place of allowing and acceptance. And the place of allowing and acceptance is the very safety you're seeking, right? This is subtle. It's very subtle, because the mind wants to do something to be safe, right? And in that doing, you're fighting with your own feelings. So instead, just let the feelings be there. It's impossible. You can't be safe. No one can be safe. I've never been safe. Oh, these guys are going to go off. I have no control over it. This guy's bad mood. What can I do? Nothing. I'm not safe. I'm totally the victim of circumstance. Just amplify it. Make it as nasty as you can possibly, and you will be amazed at the sense of relief that begins to come over the system. Why? Because you're not fighting it. And when you stop fighting it, just start agreeing with it, it comes out of the defensive posture. And when you're out of the defensive posture, where are you? You're in safety. You're at the very place you want to be. It seems paradoxical, and you won't hear many people talking like this, but that's how you do it. Is that good? Does that cover it for you? Red rose for us? Valentine's Day rose. I'm doing a training on it right now, 6 weeks. I've got lots of videos on this. I even have I have a free tapping course. I don't know if you've done it, called The Power of Touch, the Healing Power of Touch. So I've got a lot of EFT resources, but this is the approach I take, which is pretty unique. And that is, I just completely lay it out there. I never disagree with the thoughts and the feelings that are coming. Right? And if you're having an argument with somebody, right, and it's kind of heated, right, even if it begins to dawn on you that you may be wrong and they may be right, the last thing you want to do is admit it, right? But what if that same argument is happening with somebody who's just really open and go, I see your point of view. I get it. Yeah. Let's look at, maybe there's a better way of looking at this. You immediately are, immediately you're drawn into a different kind of relationship. And it becomes a mutual exploration at that point instead of a conflict. I'm just asking you to turn that same energy towards yourself and just agree with it. Yeah, this is how you see it. This is how the nervous system sees it. This is what it's trying to do. It's trying to make the unstable stable. Right? And it's not really possible. So you just, okay, I get it. I see what you're trying to do. And I thank you for it. I mean, that's your job. My nervous system's job is to keep me safe. So thank you. It's not safe. I get it. And you just be with that. And you will find that when you drop out of the defensive posture, the whole energy system itself begins to expand because it's in a different environment. It's not locked in a battle. It now has a safe environment in which it can begin to move, and it will adapt to it. And it will eventually become very, very harmonious and increasingly resourceful. And that boundary of what we can handle, what we can't, will get so big that eventually it just disappears, and we find that we are boundless. We are the one infinite being. This is Suze. Hi there, Suzanne. Evening, GP. Love to see you a bit late because we've been in the month. Oh, that's right. You had your monthly EFT group today. Oh, yes. I'm glad you went to that. That's so wonderful. There's everyone who graduates from my EFT training get together, continue to get together after the fact, graduate or are currently in it. And so at least once a month, everybody gets together. I try to do a reunion regularly as well. Rosalind, good vibes. I don't know if I can do cold. It's sunny here in California. Maybe if I had an infrared sauna. I know lots of people like that. I know people who will not leave Florida. I like it. I grew up in Chicago where it got very cold. Robert says it's minus 3 degrees Celsius right now. Robert in Romania. I think that's where you said, yeah. Penny, hello, Stephen, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day to you. Eli, oh, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a bit. Or maybe I just didn't see you. Wow, it's snowing there. Yep. Yeah, and a lot of it's been snowing almost constantly for 2 days. Yeah. Wow, says Robert Dewis. So that is why we just need to enjoy the life that happens as it happens. Yeah, isn't that, it is a mind blower, isn't it? Yes. What else are you going to do? Otherwise, you're like somebody standing in the shore of the ocean trying to push waves back out to sea. Good luck. And this is a fact. This is actually what's happening. This is not just some nice spiritual platitude. This is really what's happening. Decisions make themselves. They just are an appearance of life. And you are life, and you are the witness of life. You're even bigger than life. All life emanates from your being. Every decision, everything. Roberta says, I feel some part of me is dying, GP. Good. Let it die. The only thing that can die is that which was born. And since you weren't born, you can't die. The only thing we can lose is that which is not ourself, which is everything other than ourself. And because the ego clutches so desperately, it feels like, I'm dying, I'm dying. That's the crucifixion. That's the dark night of the soul. That's what those metaphors represent. That sense of finally letting go of what isn't you. But you think it's you so much that you think that its going is your going, that its death is your death. And when you surrender to it totally, like the example of Christ, that resurrection, into thy hands I commit my spirit. Father, it is finished. And he completely lets go. What happens? That's the moment of the resurrection. And the resurrection represents the rebirth into spiritual life. It isn't this body being raised up again. It is the birth of something brand new. That's why the snake, even the snake in the Garden of Eden, which was inviting them to experience duality, the snake represents death and resurrection, immortality, because the snake sheds its skin. So it's symbolic of this rising from the instinctive and our animal nature, which is only concerned with wealth, health, progeny, and success and status, which is the transient and temporary. That's the animal nature. And we transcend that through the crucifixion, which is centered in the heart. And that's what the cross represents, the heart of reality. I guess I can do it this way. I don't have to show you like this. It represents the heart of reality and the crossover point between the instinctual to the spiritual. Absolutely beautiful. And that, there's other stories of God coming down to earth and giving himself in other traditions. It's not the only one it happened in. There's even one in the Celtic tradition where God nailed himself to a tree as a sacrifice to himself. It sounds really strange to our very modern literalist minds, but metaphorically, mythologically, it's utterly beautiful. You are literally sacrificing yourself to discover, to be resurrected as yourself. Just stunningly, stunningly beautiful. Let's see, Red Rose, GP, I didn't book a session with you yet because you offered those of us in your January class retreat a discount. I don't know how to apply that. I emailed you again at the support email. Yeah, you're right. There's a coupon code. I'll get it to you. Sorry. I get I get a little distracted, trying to keep everything simple, and at the same time, a lot of people interested in this. I just got to keep myself organized. Yes, there is a code I will get you that basically gives you half off. And thank you for bringing it up here. Ali Rizvi. Hi, GP. Where do we look to know ourselves? Mind is always there. Very good. Very good. Lovely. Well, mind is always there, right? Thoughts are always there. Okay. What is it that knows that mind is always there? Right? Something has to be aware that mind's always here. Isn't there something that's always there that has to recognize that it's always there? Well, that's you, isn't it? That's the self. That which recognizes it. And now look, mind is not a thing. Mind is this thing that's there. Look closely. What is the experience of mind? It's just the flow of thoughts. And this flow of thoughts we call thinking, and believe there's a thinker, but there's just a flow of thoughts, aren't they? Isn't there? And so here you are watching this flow of thoughts. And one of those thoughts is, mind is always there. Now that thought isn't there all the time, is it? Is there any thought you have that's there all the time? You're standing in front of a river, looking at the river. Are you looking at the river? Or it's just flowing by, right? It's just flowing by. What part is the river? It's just a flow, the flow of water. Wind is the flow of air. Mind is the flow of thoughts. So what's there that's saying mind is always here? What could possibly make that utterance other than something that was always there? It's so subtle. But this is where you look. You go, oh, what is it that's always here watching? And at first you'll be trying to find an it that they're always watching, but whatever you find, you'll also find you there seeing it. And little by little it dawns, oh my God, I'm the one that's watching. Me, I'm here. and the idea of knowing yourself as an object, the human knowledge falls away, because you're just here. Whatever object is presented as myself isn't myself, because I'm looking at it. And it sinks in. I can't see myself. I can't really know myself as a thing. I just know I am. And the knowing and the being merge. They're one. Knowingness is being. So it's inherent in every thought. There must be a consciousness aware of that thought. The thoughts aren't aware of themselves. Even the thought, the mind is always there, is a thought that just passed by. And who's aware of it? And what other than that which is always here could make a statement about what is always here? And now you just look closely and go, well, I am always here. The thoughts aren't. So the mind isn't always here. I am. I've just been looking for me as some object of mind. And that keeps engaged. And that's the mistake. Turn all the way around to where you can't be seen. And even that turning around, right? What you are looking for is where you are looking from. It is simply the I am. Does that get it for you, Ali? Thank you for that. Rosario, thank you, GP. Mr. Roberto, we're great and full of wisdom. Thank you. Thank you. Faith in Algeria. Hi, Faith. Roberto, I feel extremely unhappy, lack of energy, pain, no future in sight, the way I thought about it. That's the problem. No future the way you thought about it. Well, stop thinking about it like that. Stop thinking about the future completely and just be here and now. Right? This is the obsession. It's an addiction of the mind. Just relentless insistence that things should be the way I want them to be. It is the height of arrogance, the height of egotism. That's the egoic mind. God damn it, it's got to be the way I want it. And if it isn't, I'm going to make myself suffer until it is. Right? That's the loop you're stuck in. Right? Break out. As long as happiness is tied to some circumstance, your life as it is will be elusive. You'll never feel happy. Even if you happen to get for a moment that which you think is going to make you happy, it's not the getting that makes you happy. It's the fact that you're not desiring anymore. And what happens when desire goes away? The happiness that is eternal and innate is felt until, because in ignorance, we think it came from the circumstance or the object, the next desire arises. And this is the way it works. This is the continuity of suffering. This is Shiva's wheel. There's no way out of it. There's no such thing as the ultimate perfect fulfillment. It is a detachment where it no longer matters to you what the circumstances are. Until then, you are a slave to circumstance, and which means you will be in suffering, right? And I don't have a problem with the suffering you're experiencing because I know what it's doing for you. It's waking you up. Right? It's insisting that you stop looking for happiness and pleasure and success and abundance where it doesn't exist. There is no happiness in anything. The world can give you nothing. This is the realization. It all is in me. And you start turning consistently away from this vicious pattern of clinging to that which is making your life miserable. And it's just a habit. It's an addiction like any other. I love you, Roberto. I'm so glad you're in the trading. I do. Henrik from Lake Constance, south of Germany. Oh, wow. I just love this. Everyone has been recommending your music, G, in the EFT group. Okay. I have on my site, gpwalsh.com, I have, there's a shop there, And I have 3 albums now up there. And one of them I was really reluctant to put up. I did it, 20 years ago? Yeah, around 21 years ago. I professionally recorded in a record. You couldn't do the home stuff like that. I had 22 musicians on it. And it was a singer-songwriter thing. I sang on it, played piano and sang, and had a whole band and horn section, a whole thing. And you know, I don't really do the singing. I just do composition now. But I said, what the heck? So I remastered it and put it up there. So I've got 2 instrumentals. One's called Face in the Water. That's an instrumental album. The other album I've got is it's called Satyavadi, which means the place of great truth. And then If Wishes Were Horses, which is the one that I sing on. Those are all available if somebody wants to buy them. I've never done a very good job at selling my music. I mean, I've actually have, I think, about 4 more albums that I haven't even released yet. That, you know, little by little, I get some extra time. I sit down and I put some things together and play with it. A bunch of the meditation music. I have some 4 albums of meditation music up there as well. Guided meditations and there's a lot of stuff in the shop, actually. I'm just so bad at promoting. So thank you for thank you for mentioning that, and thanks to your buddies in the EFT group talking about it. I thought my life was going to be about music. You know, it started playing when I was 5. And I was just devoted to it. But life goes in different directions. And nobody chooses anything. I had to come to terms with that. Because I used to think it was my fault. Things weren't working the way I wanted them to work. And I beat myself up. And at times, I mean, I really had nothing. Right? Not imaginary. Even 5 years ago, I lost everything. Right? It was a difficult divorce. Followed by working with a big shot internet marketer. Took 4 months of my time, invested a lot of money in it, and nothing. I mean, I literally lost everything. I had a couple small IRAs. That was it, and some charge cards. So I know what it's like. And I know what it means to recognize that everything works together for good for those who love God, that everything happens in exactly the right way, and that we never choose anything. And it's so freeing. It is so freeing. Anyway, Liza, a rose and a heart. Thank you. Susanna, I didn't get triggered about Valentine's today because I allowed myself a long sleep, kept my phone off, and gave myself a gorgeous day of studying EFT and listening to Satsang. It's self-loving. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, it's nice if there's somebody, right? You can have those romantic times, but you have to remember that even the romance, those romantic moments, everything comes and goes. To realize that, you stop trying to hold on to them, right? Which sets whoever you're with free to be who they are. It sets the moment free to be what it is. It doesn't freeze it in time. And the appreciation just explodes because this moment is precious. It's never going to come again. The time with somebody is precious. And it's going to end. Even if it's a beautiful love affair that lasts an entire lifetime, eventually it ends. Everything does. This isn't morose. This isn't like a downer. This is a recognition of reality as it is, which brings you into the present moment to celebrate the magnificence and the magnitude of the value of this moment. It's infinite value. It's one without a second. It's incomparable. Right? And this is that's the only real foundation for a relationship. And that's the kind of thing that can be new. You can fall in love every day. Right? Sweet, 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 sweet. Faith. Should I take the outside environment as a reflection of my inner environment? Or should I keep my intention on my prayer to find the self? Should I be worried that my relationship with men keep failing? No, you should definitely not be worried about it. Remember, in these latter days, in the Kali Yuga, everything is going to fail. All institutions, all relationships, because they weren't founded on the rock of being. They were not founded on the truth. Right? And so they must fail. Right? What doesn't fail? What can't fail? Truth. So what is worth seeking? Truth. If we want to have happiness that isn't a cheat, that doesn't betray us, right? Doesn't cheat on us, then we need to find it. It needs to be anchored in that which does not change. Well, what doesn't change? What doesn't fluctuate? What doesn't go up and down? Well, that's you. And so, yeah, men will come and go. They'll deceive you. They'll trick you. But if you stay with you, if you stay in this place of knowing, you will find coming into your life people of the quality that matches that inner sense. Now, when you say so, the inner creates the outer. When that's looked at immaturely, the mind then starts manipulating the inside to try to get different circumstances on the outside. And you see what that is an embodiment of the idea, the false idea, that my happiness actually does come from circumstances. This is how people practice manifestation, the law of attraction, and all that. They really believe that it's the thing that they get that is going to bring them the happiness. And so it's a manipulation of my energy, raise my vibration to the level and sustain it long enough that I can get that. So the belief is that my happiness is in that, right? And it fails almost all the time because you can see it's an actual embodiment of the sense of lack, the sense of feeling I got to get something from the external environment and then doing it, I need to get it. There's no difference between trying to manipulate your own feelings or taking massive action, that school of thought, or this business success and all that kind of stuff. There's no difference. It's an attempt to manipulate the environment to get what I want. Keep your attention on finding out who the I is. Because for the most part, our wants are a reflection of the self we actually aren't. One of the most powerful things you can do is to enter into the great doubt, which means doubt everything. Do I really want that? Is that really my aspiration? Do I really think that's going to satisfy me? Now, how can you answer that question of what I want? Oh, I really want that, without knowing what the I is. Who wants it? The false sense of self that I've been chasing, that I've been pretending to be my whole life? Can I trust any of its desires? Can I trust its relationships? Can I trust its focus of attention? I have to know me. I have to know the I. And all of our attention is on the thing and the wanting of the thing. We say, I want that. We know what the that is. We know what the wanting is. I simply ask, well, turn around now. Tell me who the I is. Oh, what a weird question. It's just me. It's just me. And that's the mistake. That sense of I is from what is where all the rest of this stuff emanates from. So you don't have to be concerned about my inner environment, the outer environment, because even your inner environment is actually is subtly objective to you. Who are you that's aware of even the inner environment? So yes, keep your prayer on finding the self. I want to know who I am. When I know who I am, I can trust any desire that arises, anything that happens in my life. I can trust it because I know it's coming from me, the self. But the self is not a personal me. And this is why this is such a deep exploration. It isn't just getting to know myself as the person, as the body, as a particular personality in the world. It goes beyond that, to that which is aware even of me, even of the personality traits, the characteristics, the preferences and the like, that which is aware of my inner environment, aware of the vibration. In order for somebody to say, I'm going to raise my vibration, there's something standing there looking at the vibration, going, this vibration is low, I want to get this vibration high. What is deciding that? Something that takes all of it in. We never look to that. We're so focused on what we're going to do. We never stop to turn around and go, well, who's aware of this? This is the simple and profound question that is the heart and soul of Satsang. What did I say? Most of the time, just in the beginning, should I be worried my relationship with men keep failing? Most of the time, just in the beginning. Don't worry about it. No, don't worry at all. You just keep your heart centered and on your prayer. Lord, replace me with you. And God, the Lord, the I Am, will bring into your life whatever is needed to assist you in becoming that, in the full realization of who you are. And it will, in the process, it will fulfill all your genuine human needs. It will meet every single human need. When you are free from trying to do it all yourself, right? Free from questioning it. You don't even have to know what your true needs are. It'll just happen, right? Because this is the benevolent, loving nature. This is the mother love of God. This is the mother of the universe. The mother of you, calling you back to you to discover that you are that very mother that was doing the calling. Beautiful. Thank you, Faith. John Sheehan, hello from Ireland. Hello, John. Playan, hello from Sweden. Hello. Playan, is that how I say it? Playan. Red Rose, yes, thank you. Good. Where are we? Oh, wow. It's over an hour so far. Wow. Faith, should I apply EFT about that, or should I focus on my non-duality journey? Focus on the non-duality journey, and then use EFT to just help with the process of coming to surrender, right? The focus is always on who am I. I teach EFT, I use EFT, but as any one of my students can tell you, the focus is always on who I am, right? It's not therapeutic. If I use EFT to get a result, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. But if I use it, any technique to help myself come to a place of surrender, to let go of things I've been holding on to get in touch with an inherent sense of safety, well, now it is contributing to the true story. And at some point, you won't need the techniques anymore. All teaching is eventually subsumed into the knowledge. Once you don't need a map of your hometown. Once you know the place, you don't need a map anymore. No teaching is needed anymore. None. All teaching is transcendent, because all teaching is temporary. It's cultural. It's of this moment. It's a temporary inflection of how God communicates to us, or truth communicates to us in exactly the right way and exactly the right time. So keep the attention where it belongs, and other techniques you might know, there may be some other things you can do. They will serve the primary purpose, and that's what you need to keep the focus on until you don't need any extra help at all. The focus just remains the focus. Jay, my man. Hey, G and everyone, I sent you an email with my question, G. I also have a picture attachment of 2 pages, so you have a context of what I'm asking about. Okay, I'll check it out. I can't do it right now. Mindful Zero, like that name. Oh, that's right. It's Dale. Why do good people seem to die unjust? Through being murdered, wrong place, wrong time, etc. Just been watching YouTube channel Mr. Ballin, which is all about the dark side of life. So much suffering in the world, it's insane. I know you will say we choose the suffering, but bad things do seem to happen to great people that didn't deserve it, and it makes me upset and angry. Now, I'm not going to say we choose the suffering. Just went through a whole thing. It says we don't choose anything. This is a hard thing. What can I say? This just to be willing to be in this place where, how do you possibly explain the stupidity, the brutality, the indifference, the inequality that's going on in the world? And yes, innocent people experiencing consequences that often the most vile people don't. What do we do with that? Well, we want to try to come up with some philosophy. Well, this is God's will, or we're choosing this, the lords of karma or something, but none of those are satisfying, are they? Yes, it makes you angry. Wait a minute. Something inside that says this shouldn't be. So what do we do with that? Being willing to be with that, with the utter paradoxical confusion of it. Joseph Campbell, who talks about meeting the great sage Atmananda when he was in India. And his first question to him was, everything's supposed to be divine. The Hindus see everything as being, God is immanent in it. He says, what do you do with all the brutality, the stupidity, the cruelty, the insanity? How do you accept that? He says, Atmananda's response was, for you and me, we have to say yes to it. And that's all I can recommend. Say, yes, it is happening. And you're aware that it seems ludicrous. Why? You can even see how it could be avoided. But eventually you'll see right to the heart of it, the essential distortion of the egoic mind in greed, in the three poisons: ignorance, delusion, and greed. And that is what's activated. That is what is actually happening. And to really be willing to be with that, even when there's nothing you can do about it, is the heart of compassion. You're not hiding in a position. You're not burying your head in the sand. You're not trying to be spiritual and overcome it. You're present. You're in genuine, unconditional love and acceptance. This is what's happening. When Buddha gave his very first sermon, the Four Noble Truths of Suffering, the first noble truth of suffering was, there is suffering. It seems so direct, but this is what I'm saying to you. The first noble truth, and it's a truth to grasp, is there is suffering. And it is unjust. It makes no sense. All of it it's completely mind-blowing to anybody with a heart. But he goes on, right? This recognition of it. This is the human condition. It is the common condition that every single human being experiences. There is suffering. And he doesn't personalize it. It's just, there is. It is a fact of life. But then he says, there's a cause to suffering. And then he says, there's an end to suffering. And that there's a means to that end. So the sheer acknowledgement that it's here, that it's happening, unfiltered, unbuffered, you're not putting lipstick on the pig, there it is, opens the door to, what is the cause of suffering? Where does it actually come from? And this is where you confront the egoic mind, because it is the ego that is creating all the suffering. the ego through ignorance, delusion, and greed. Those are the three poisons. And the end of suffering is discovering who you actually are. You let go of that, of the activity of the ego that is within you. Remember, the ego isn't a thing, it's a state of mind. It's the reference of the I am the body, which gives birth to an ego based on the body, making all sorts of fictitious ideas based on this basic assumption that I am this, I am limited, I am mortal, I got to get what I can. Right? And when Buddha uses the word greed, it's not just the kind of unbridled avarice that we see like on Wall Street and corporate boardrooms. Whenever I'm looking to anything outside of myself for happiness, that's greed. The idea that I can get something that I don't have, that's greed. So you see, it's infected all of us. It isn't just the CEO who destroys the environment for a couple, to shore up his stock prices. It's all of us. That's the most extreme examples of it, because he thinks he's going to benefit from that. Well, maybe you think you're going to benefit from, having a nicer car. Maybe it's just, I'm going to be enlightened, and then I'm going to be everything. Anytime you put anything external as the cause of your happiness, you have bitten the apple of greed. That's what he's referring to. And he says, and it is inevitably suffering. Why? Because it can't give you that. And so in that sense, suffering is the most brilliant blessing and significant event in your life. Because when you're suffering, you're identified with the ego. You're reaching for something external. Otherwise, there's no suffering. There's just life as it is. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't pain. There isn't experiences. There aren't ups and downs. There are. But you will not suffer them anymore, because there'll be nothing that's trying to get anything from it and nothing that's trying to get rid of anything. So be in that place of the bodhisattva. Yes, this is absurd. And it gets more absurd by the day. Yes, there is despotism and tyranny. There is lust for power. All of these things are going on. Very undeserving, innocent people are being put through unnecessary pain. Transcend your suffering. And then you will see clearly that the root cause of all of this is that egoic sense of identity. Root it out of you. And then you'll easily be able to root it out of others. Thank you, Dale. I actually love that question because it has so much heart in it. You cannot have a heart and be truly human and not feel the pain of this, and just be completely bewildered and perplexed by it. The only way you can't is to cut yourself off from feeling, to lose your empathy, to detach yourself, right? To just not want to pay attention. But if you let yourself feel, let yourself be human, you'll inevitably be sitting right where you are sitting. And this is the best place to be. This is the heart space that opens that allows you to step out of the purely animal and instinctual, which doesn't really care, right? It's just doing its thing, into this other place that is transcendent of all. And that place in the middle, right? Between the chakras, right? The place in the middle is the heart. And it has to break open. And that's the beginning of wisdom. That's the beginning of awakening. This is the emergence of the transcendent self. Thank you, Dale. Hemunk. Dreams used to be completely chaotic, where I was usually being cuckolded, bullied, beaten up, or treated as a side character in a TV show. These days, they have completely changed, where I am the universe itself from another plane of existence as a 2D flat screen, powerful and blissful state, and always swimming in an infinite body of water. Plus, they now predict my future with a greater degree of accuracy. I didn't know I was capable of such positive relationships with my own dreams. Beautiful. Yeah. Well, you're bigger than the dream. The dreams serve you, not the other way around. Just the idea of, dreaming, you are the universe. It's not, it's shocking to us. It's surprising when the very thing we've been looking at, we've been studying, we've been wanting to imbibe starts showing up. We go, whoa, what's going on? Yes. And the whole thing about predicting the future and stuff, don't pay any attention to that. Because that's a city power that can come or go, right? Don't put any importance in it, because it's not important, because you don't live in the future, you live now. True knowledge is, and whatever future you're seeing is simply the karmic unfolding of this particular body mind, this particular form, and has nothing to do with you. It's not your future. You don't have one. You are eternally in the now. That which is aware of the now and the future and the dream and everything in the dream. Who's that? I will always bring your attention back to the one who is perceiving it, because that's you. Everything else is images on the screen. You're the viewer of those images. And eventually you'll find out that you are actually the screen as well, because there can't be anything other than you, and nothing can be outside your perception of it. So enjoy it. Enjoy it. Don't become dependent on it. And keep the exploration going. Wow. Who's this I that can actually see the future, that can step out of time? Who's that? And that's here now, right? And that'll be here even if the predictions turn out false or they stop altogether. You'll still be here. You'll watch them stop. You'll watch them come, right? It's always back to you. Hendrik. So then all perception is in a way hoax, and only being is real. Everything is then happening no matter what, and there's no depth in perception or distance to a seen object. All is in one point that is not even here. Yes, exactly so. All perception is simply perception. What's a hoax is when we mistake the perception and think it is objectively real, that it exists separate from the perception. And so perception is my senses, right? I am the body, my senses, and everything my senses appears to my senses, to my perception, is other, me and other. And the fact of the matter is, the perceiving is creating it. It is perceiving. That the perceived and the perceiving and the perceiver are all one being. And so, no, there is no distance. You can in your dreams at night, you can see a universe, you can see vistas, you can talk to people, and none of them are actually anything other than yourself, right? You're not talking to anybody. You can see something, way on the other side of the room or on the other side of the country. And it's not. There's no distance at all. It is all happening within this little bubble of consciousness. So, yes, you are that point. And that point has no boundaries. So you can perceive an infinite distance, something near and close, but they're all here. Everything is here. And verify it, right? Where do you perceive everything? Here, right? I'm looking up at a sky that's, a billion light years away, a star, right? But I don't perceive it a billion years. I perceive it here. Everything is here. There's nothing but here. The center is here. The circumference is nowhere. If it's infinitude, every point is the center. And in fact, points go away when it's just the infinitude, because a point defines itself in reference to the unity. So there's no point. Right? There's no here, really. There's just you. Not the you think you are, right? But the you really are. The only you there is, the great I am. So yes. So believing that what I'm experiencing exists independently from my perceiving of it is what's called samsara. When I realize that what I'm experiencing and me, the experiencer, are one, that is nirvana. That is the end of the world, right? The end of the world, oh, things blowing up and all this goes away and I attain enlightenment and then there's nothing. I'm just, okay. It's not that at all. It's, I am nothing and I am everything. The things disappear into the unity of being, into the singularity of being. And this is the thing to grasp, the non-existence of external existence. There is no external existence. Consciousness is the very substance of everything. There is no matter, there's no space, there is no time. Those are all relative expressions of the manifestation of the infinite, which is beyond all space and time. Hopefully I said that right. You'll tell me. You'll tell me if I've got that. Suze is sending you love, Roberto. Susanna, your classmate. Andrew, the mind interprets happenings as this means that. Yes, exactly. And look really closely. It's arbitrary. Somebody, look at the snow out here. I'm looking and going, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Oh, right. And I'm just like, oh, I'm kind of blissed out over the snow, right? But I can imagine somebody walking down the street, grumble, grumble, grumble. Same snow, right? There's no meaning in anything. Nothing has inherent meaning. It's all given to it. We all make it up. And then we think, oh, but that's it then. Yeah, this is what it actually means. This is what it really is. And then we argue and fight and have wars over made up imaginary meaning attached to that which has no inherent meaning whatsoever. So the mind says, this means that. And it's useful, right? Because if we both agree on something, we can have a conversation. And the conventional, a light hanging over the road turning red means stop, right? Now, it doesn't. There's nothing inherent about the red that says stop, but we've universally adopted that as a convention. Red means stop, right? Because it works well. It keeps us from bumping into each other all the time. Green means go. Yellow means go faster before it turns red, right? But these are all arbitrary meanings, right? They could have been purple and puce and fuchsia, right? They're arbitrary but useful. But if you realize that they are just arbitrary, they're not actually real, they're not authentic, they're not inherent, right? They don't have a self that is a solid existence, then we're free of them. We can use them as we need to make sure we don't slam into each other at every intersection. But we also know that we can transcend them at any time. All rules we make, all agreements we make as a culture are arbitrary. We act as if they're absolutes, and we went, oh, God said this is going to be the way it is, which is nonsense. We're just making it up, and we can change them anytime we want. This is the great liberation, right? We can make this world whatever we want it to be. The moment we realize that it is nothing but an expression of our common sense of value, which is, what does this mean, right? It doesn't mean anything. It has no meaning. You are the meaning. You are the source of its meaning. And you can even go beyond that and see that you are the source of its being. Without you, nothing exists. Hendrik, thank you for, oops. Jumps around. Hold on. There we are. Thank you for sharing your story about losing everything, and that one who loves God is supported in mysterious ways. That was very inspiring. Oh, you're welcome. Yes. It's funny. There have been times in my life when it's been like right down to the wire, but I've never, ever gone without. I've had to let go of a lot of ideas of what I thought I should have. And I completely unburdened myself for 5 years. This is the first time in 5 years I've owned furniture. I just stayed different places. 2 years ago, I got a car, right, which I hadn't had. And it's kind of nice, but it was so very nice to just really be free from those kinds of attachments. And now when it was time to actually have some stuff, I've got some stuff. Nice stuff, too. It's very nice stuff. The kind of stuff like, the mic over my head, the camera that's picking all of this up. It's nice. Bubo, and Masha's kitchen. Great. Hey, exams around the corner, and I'm really stressed out. Any advice? EFT videos. Don't fight the stress. What is stress? Stress is the anticipation of something. Stress is always a distraction from this present moment. Okay? And then the mind going, oh my God, is stressing out anxiously about what it imagines the future is going to be. So all of our stress, all of our anxiety is imaginary. What? But I didn't say you didn't feel it. I'm saying the cause of it is our minds not being here in this present moment. So the first thing you can do, okay, is simply just stop and breathe. And just let your attention, close your eyes and let your attention just simply watch your breath. Slow it down, deepen it, and just let yourself feel the present moment. Yeah, there'll be some tension, maybe some stress running through the body. Just say yes to it. Say, okay, you're here. I might as well say yes to you. You're here. What am I going to do? And you'll notice then how the mind is constantly presenting pictures of a future that is dangerous, that you should watch out for, that's going to be a problem. Right? And that's the habit energy. Right? And notice it. Now, if those thoughts had never occurred to you, would you be feeling any stress? Is there any actual stress in here? Any real, honest to God threat right here and right now? Oh, no. So what I'm feeling is an imaginary future. Nobody can know the future. So whatever is being suggested that the future will hold isn't true. And then, yes, look up some EFT videos here on YouTube. I've got some. There's a whole bunch of good people that have on all these kinds of things. Say EFT for stress or EFT for anxiety. I've got a couple there myself. And it will be, and that will help calm the whole nervous system until you'll feel just completely confident and completely at peace. Of course, you got to study. You got to do that too. But that's genuine, right? That's something you really have to do. So you sit down, you do what you have to do, and then let it go. And you can learn how to let it go. We've all been trained to not let it go, but to keep ruminating about it in our minds. And it does nothing but cause the body to be reacting as if there was something of immediate danger here when there isn't. Just this moment, without comparing itself to any other moment, what's wrong with right now? Absolutely nothing. That's peace. That's safety. Hala, hi to you too. Yasmin in Germany. Hala, hello to you, Yasmin. Faith, I love you, G. I love you too, Faith. Lynn J, I just found this awesome live chat. How do I get notifications for upcoming ones? Well, if you're on YouTube, yeah, you're on YouTube. If you subscribe whenever I go live, if you go to my site, gpwalsh.com, you can put on, you can register, get a free ebook called Angels in the Basement, where I talk a lot about this stuff. And then you'll be on the mailing list for upcoming events. But this particular one, Satsang, is every week at 3 p.m. Eastern, which is 8 p.m. UTC. I'm not exactly sure where you are, Lynn. What is G's real name? My real name is Gregory Paul Walsh. I just kind of started going by GP and it stuck. And it makes for a shorthand on things. So that's what it stands for. Andrew says, I would love a one-on-one with you and chat. You can register for a one-on-one session on my site, gpwalsh.com. I finally have everything I need on my site. He's like a normal person and guru in one. That is the most wonderful compliment I've received. Yeah, I used to think, the whole spiritual thing, I got kind of carried away by the costumes and the special effects, thinking there was something special about it. It was really Zen Buddhism that opened my eyes to, it's just the ordinary human being, right? It's just the plain old ordinary human being. That's the pinnacle, to simply embrace your humanity. And in that embrace is the conduit through which the light of the guru shines through. And the word guru is a Sanskrit word. It simply means one who dispels darkness. That's it, right? That one doesn't have to be in a particular form, doesn't have to be wearing orange robes, doesn't have to be sitting, chanting Om all day, just your average Joe, right? And it's funny because the more spiritual I've got, the more average I've gotten. More just, I'm just a guy, just a plain ordinary guy. And it's so delightful to not have to be anybody. I get to be nobody, which means I just, whatever I happen to be doing. And sometimes it's this, sometimes we're running around in the snow. Sometimes, hopefully I'll get a chance to build a snowman with my granddaughter here sometime soon. So thank you, Lynn. Oh, sweet. Play on. Have you ever meditated and died? I believe it happened to me once. It was like my second self died and I felt so calm. I went to a universe that I realized was all was me and was connected with everything. It was like coming home, and at the same time, it felt like probably what an astronaut experienced while looking down on Earth from space for the first time. Beautiful. Yes, you've had the opening. That's exactly, yeah, and died's the wrong word, really, because it never lived in the first place. That which never was simply got seen as that which never was. And you saw the expansiveness of your own being. Now, let's take this a little bit further, right? Who was experiencing that death? Who experienced that second self? Who was experiencing the calm? That other universe that was all me and connected with everything and coming home. Who was it that had that experience? Right? Because that experience isn't here now, right? It came and went, right? So it's an experience. So don't cling to it, right? Because some of the experiences we can have are absolutely phenomenal. They're just amazing, right? And at the same time, you know, you go home and trip and bang your nose on something, right? You're just this morning I banged my knee into the door under the sink, right? The cabinet door. It's the same. That which is having that experience of being the universe and having my, you know, stubbing my toe is the same being. That's the being I want to bring your attention to, because that's always here. It is transcendent. It is beyond even the most magnificent and extraordinary experiences. Each one of those experiences is nothing but an instant of you, whether that be experiencing the universe or a sore toe or a kiss or just going to the grocery store. They all become the momentous events, and just happen to be the experience that you are having right now. Who's the experiencer? So don't get lost in a peak experience like that, right? Enjoy it. It's wonderful. What's happened is the clouds passed and you saw yourself without any dimensions. You saw yourself in the timeless realm, right? You knew yourself as you really are. But the ultimate knowledge is beyond even that, because it was still someone experiencing, right? Who are you? That's what I want to get you. Don't stop. Don't stop until that aperture opens and doesn't close. Until then, keep bringing the attention back to the one having the experience. Because many people have this experience. And actually in meditation, it's not that hard to do with a little bit of guidance. And therefore, and then are just kind of in shock when the clouds come again or the walls come in and it feels like I'm back in the body, right? You're not in the body. You never were. That was what the experience revealed. The body is simply yet another experience, and you are not confined to it. This is just what happens to be appearing to you right now. And so we don't seek those peak spiritual experiences. It's a trap. Don't seek the powers. Don't seek the city powers. Don't seek the power to manifest and make life the way you want to. It's a trap. Right? Seek you. As Christ referred to as the kingdom of heaven. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, you, the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. And that's what he meant. Don't worry about that. Even those wonderful experiences, stay here in the heart, and all of it will dissolve, and you'll find the fullness of the you that is beyond all knowledge. And so cherish those experiences, right? Don't try to make them permanent, but recognize this is a gift of grace, right? It's saying you're on the right path. You are my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. I think you're a boy. I think you're a man, judging from the character. You're my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. And that touches the heart. That just gets you right to the heart, which is where the real revelation comes from. So it's felt. It's not an experience. I am that. I just feel it in my bones. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Dale, I just cried a little listening to this, like a chuckle, but in crying from anyway. Thank you for this reply. It's a hard one to answer. I just wish and hope eventually we get past all of this. We will. We will. We will. And it's people like you who are willing to sit in the bewilderment of it that will lead us out. Pliant said, the only thing I could say was, oh, wow. No psychedelics, but I was meditating while watching a shaman online who was sending out energy. Great. Yeah, you don't need psychedelics. Not really. Right? And even if you're doing them, there's nothing wrong. I don't have any problem with people doing that. I don't have any, I don't take any moral stance on any of that stuff. But it like every other teaching, including this teaching, Buddhist, all teaching is temporary. And eventually you outgrow it. And all teachings need to be outgrown. But that kind of an experience being guided by a shaman, he gave you a taste. Right? Now the question remains: who am I? Who's the one that had that experience? So beautiful. Tyrelius Zucarius. Oh, guys, beautiful names. Blessings, G. What do I say about my practice when people tell me that Buddhism is another form of religion? Anything can be a religion and anything can be a practice. It depends on what we do with it. Yeah, you know what? There are Buddhist approaches, Buddhist sects, ethnic Buddhism that is just a religion. It's a practice. It's a, it's a way I live my life, which is fine, right? It's a set of principles and moral guidelines for how to live a good, helpful, useful life, right? Don't do any harm, don't steal, don't lie, don't murder, basic 10 Commandments kind of stuff. When I am following some religious thing like that, being obedient to it, I will get that fruit, right? I will have the life that comes from following those rules. But that's not the point of Buddhism. It's not the point of Christianity. It's not even the point of Islam or Judaism, any of the Western religions. The actual import is those are that sideline, the behavior, being good, doing right things, making a right living, and that sort of thing are that's just the surface. That's the precepts. What's the actual focus of it? The focus of Buddhism is to realize that you are the Buddha, to realize the reality of your being and of all things, right? Now, religion plays a part in that, in that if that becomes too intellectual, you get what I call neo-Advaitas, some of these modern non-dual teachers, where it's just nothing exists, nobody's here, there's nothing to do, which is true, but not the whole truth, right? And so that religious sentiment, that sense of devotion, that sense of surrender, that willingness to really surrender yourself to something higher, eventually merges you with the higher, and you realize you've been the higher all along. Now, coming from that place, this is a morality and a way of life that isn't being imposed as most religions are. That's what most people think of as religion, a set of rules that I'm supposed to obey, and I get some reward for doing it, right? And the Western religions are all very much relationship-based. God is not immanent in you. God is separate from you, and therefore the religion defines the relationship. This is what you should do. This is what you shouldn't do. On and on it goes. That can be fine. It also creates war and all sorts of other stuff. If people would actually obey it, we'd all be a bit better off. But that sentiment, that desire to curb my desires, to curb my appetites, to bring some perspective, to think about somebody other than myself, if that's really taken into heart, there's a level of surrender of the heart that I'm really surrendering to truth, to the truth of being. And Buddha represents the truth of being. Buddha nature is your nature. And so from that point of view, anything can be either a practice or a path to awakening, or it can be simply a way to live. And when it's a way to live, this is what I think they're talking about. It's just another form of religion. And you go, well, no, it's not a religion. Yes, there are some aspects of religion to it, but everything has aspect. I mean, our culture in that sense is religious in that we have an agreed upon set of values, right? You're going to do this, you're not going to do this. It's just what we kind of have to do to be human beings. This is where the law came from. But even Moses said he could foresee the day when the law would be written on the hearts of men. Right? So from the path of seeking who you really are, you automatically develop a morality. You don't harm, you don't steal, you don't lie, you don't bear false witness. You simply don't do it. Not because you're conforming to some rules, but because it's not your nature. And you find that the rules actually came, they were a reduction of the essential seeing, the essential knowing, and we're trying to a representation of it to help somebody get to the point where they could finally recognize that spirit, that energy, that self from which these rules emerged, at which point you don't need them anymore. You're it. You know, I don't need somebody to make me be kind. I don't need somebody to make me not lie. I don't need somebody to force me to not kill. It's not my nature. I simply don't do it, right? Not because I have to, but because it's who I am. And you begin to realize that that's the truth of all of us. And the more safe we feel, the more content we feel. You just notice the more love you feel, the less you can do anything other than be loving. And as Christ put it beautifully, love is the fulfilling of the law. If you love, you don't worry about any of the rules. And this is where spirituality and religion, they really do merge. It's the religious sentiment, and it is the precise inquiry of Vedanta. It's Vedanta and Tantra. It's another way of looking at it. So, yeah, the goals are different. And, you know, some people are going to criticize you no matter what. So, because they don't have, many people have no idea. They're so used to the horrible religions that are so oppressive now, the fundamentalists, that they think that's what religion is. And that's a distortion. You know, modern fundamentalist Christians are heretics. Right? They are heretics. Right? They've completely missed the boat. And they're doing nothing but damage everywhere they try to do something good. They're blaspheming. They're going to love that I said that. Jorge. Oh, wait, mind. I cried a bit more. Just the pain we all feel. It's like I'm feeling on a baseline level as you are talking. But this has helped to clear things a bit, G. Be happy within and lead by example. Yes, my buddy. Yes. Jorge, oh, and I owe you you made a comment I haven't responded to yet. I apologize. Yes, I sense my heart is really open again. It goes back and forth, and this has gone for a long time, but it's opening a lot today. Yeah, when the back and forth we all feel is an attempt to kind of find some place that makes sense. And no place is going to make sense here. So you just stay in the place of just feeling, being with the total ambiguity of it. And you'll find that is the place. That is the place that has the answers. Jorge, hi from Portugal. Hi to you. If I do not control the flow of life, so there's no responsibility coming from my action. So a criminal is not responsible for his crime actions. Could you please comment? No, they're not. And this is not, look, we are not to blame for what we do, but there are consequences to what we do. If we are acting from unconsciousness, right? I'm actually innocent. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm still going to suffer the consequences of it. And, you know, a culture, a society has the right to, you know, take people who are dangerous and violent and isolate them so they don't hurt themselves or anyone else. But the studies have been done that violent criminals, right, do in their acts of violence are reenacting what has happened to them. Right? So, no, we're not choosing any more than a dog chooses anything. There's no choice there. Right? Now, that doesn't mean, see, knowing that there's no choice there, right, frees you from the repetitive conditioned patterns. Now, it would seem on one level I'm contradicting myself because I recognize that a choice is being made and off it's going. I'm sitting in the place where I see the choosing thoughts arising. In this place, I can discern the relative quality of those. If I'm not in that place, I am completely unconscious. It's just happening, right? And I'm going along with it. It's, I think, who I am. And in that case, I'm not to blame. I'm not really responsible, although I will suffer the consequences. So there's no escape from the suffering of the consequences, okay? consciously or not. So this doesn't let anybody off the hook. This doesn't take a criminal and say it's okay to be a criminal. Nobody's doing anything. That's a deep misunderstanding of what the non-dual teaching is about. We're always responsible for the actions that arise from us. What I'm asking you to do is, where are those actions originating? So in that place where you can discern the relative value or quality of thoughts and choices, you can, it would appear, choose one over the other. But when you really look closely, it's not a choice. You'll always choose the better, right? The better will always have more attractiveness. Why? Because it's closer to the truth. It's closer to who you are. So nobody consciously says, I'm going to do this nasty thing. It's always, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do the good thing. Now, is that a choice, or is that just simply seeing the value of something, right? Now, it's subtle. At this level, it appears as though we have a choice. But eventually you find that even that, you didn't even really, your own seeing made what appeared to be a choice. In fact, it was just, of course I did. It's the truth. It isn't a choice. You know, do you choose the bad or the good? You choose the good. Is it really a choice then? Right? It's subtle stuff for sure. But do remember, this doesn't let anybody off the hook for the actions of their unconscious. It makes it, you can understand it. And in understanding it, we have a means of bringing somebody out of their criminality. It doesn't do any good to just warehouse them or punish them. I mean, it's a waste of time. We want to redeem them. We want to bring them back home. We want to bring them out of the delusions. They're suffering terribly. The kind of suffering that somebody has to go through to be able to take it out, even on an innocent person, start shooting up a grade school, for crying out loud. There's a madness. There's an enormous amount of pain there. Right? Is that a conscious choice? God, nobody in their right mind would choose that. So where are they? Right? Anybody can be brought back from that brink. Anybody. They just have to be given the opportunity to see themselves. You know, the Vipassana school of Buddhism, which is interesting. They do their 10-day retreats, and they regularly do 10-day retreats in maximum security prisons. There's a movie about it, if you're interested, called Dhamma Brothers, Dhamma. And they take these extremely violent criminals and they take them through the 10 days. And it is just amazing, the transformation that these men, mostly men, have, because they've never actually had the space to be with their own feelings, to be with their own anger, to actually come to see themselves. And every single one of them has just become these peaceful, kind, naturally, right? Not forced, it's just, they discover the one of them who's been horribly abused and was angry and hateful and spiteful. And they discover this deeper place within them that was there before all the stuff got laid on top of them that turned them into that. Nobody's born that way. We are made that way by our conditioning. So, thank you, Jorge. So, sorry about the long text, but I wanted to share this with you and hear if you had experienced the same without psychedelics. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I got very attached to it. Oh my God, the bliss. Yeah, I want to go back to the oneness. And it was really Zen Buddhism that got me out of that, seeking the bliss and got me into the everyday human life. And that's where I found true bliss. Just being this ordinary guy. Oh, with the snow. Look at the snow falling. Just this, ordinary. It's God. It's so nice. It's so nice to be nobody in particular. Robert Dosa, the Trinity, that is the duality, that is in fact the unity or the singularity. Yes, that's what the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit Trinity, the Buddha, the Sangha, and the Dharma. Those are kind of overlays. Those are like teaching things to get to the transcendent, right? That essence and the spirit, the Father being the absolute, right? The transcendent, that which is beyond all categorizations, beyond God, right? It's God beyond God, right? The Son is the manifestation, the appearance of God as form. And they're both God, aren't they? The Word was made flesh, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. It's still God, right? And that wonderful heart rendering flow between the absolute and the relative, which is in constant presence, that's the Holy Spirit. And that's the realization. You are God, God appearing as form. You've identified with form, but that's not who you actually are. And matter of fact, there's nothing but God appearing as all of this. Right? Even in the most horrific way it may seem, just be with it. The reality of it will eventually become clear to you. Beautiful. Oh, let's see. How many have I got here? A ton. Your answer. Oh, there's Lisa. Your answer to my question was very good. Thank you. You're welcome. Very powerful, eye-opening, mind-blowing. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I love the fact that I can't take any credit for this stuff. A lot of times I hear this at the same time you do it, but it's mind-blowing. I just sit in awe of it. It's like, are you kidding? How perfect can it be? and then something opens and it's, oh my God, wow. Patricia, thank you for your beautiful suffering talk. I've been railing over U.S. political situations, so wanting it to be different. I knew I was being led, but couldn't see how to accept and allow this to be. I can now, yes. Yeah, in that allowing, this is the wondrous of it. In the wondrousness of this is where a resolution to these kinds of conflicts can take place. Because of course, what's happening is unacceptable. This isn't a forgiveness of it, right? And our developed sense of heart, our developed sense of spiritual maturity can discern that it's not just a matter of opinion. It's not just a matter of competing stories, that there's a higher value here that says this is not the way it should be. We can do way better than this. You know, the cruelty, the stupidity, the inequality, the poverty that's allowed, the abuse of the environment. We all know in our hearts, this is not meant to be. And we also see how the ego loves power and cannot smell its own breath. It's a parasite. It will destroy the environment to get what it wants, somehow believing it's not affected by it. All of these things are real, and you're looking at it from a higher vantage point. Looking at it from that higher vantage point, we have to sit in the position that on a human level, humanly speaking, we don't really have any power. My only power is my seeing. And if I stay with that, it will reveal the way. Because I'm looking at something higher. The higher is looking at the lower. The higher can subsume the lower. The lower can't see the higher. The light appeared in the darkness, but the darkness comprehended it not. Right? So we're just being that light. Nothing can snuff out the light of truth. And truth snuffs out everything unlike itself. And that's where we put our faith. And the answer is coming, and the answer is you. Lisa, beautiful wintry background, just tuning in. Isn't it so? Is it still? It's finally stopped. The snow finally stopped. Hi, Lisa. Just to say again how much we are enjoying yours and GP's radio show on Om Times Radio. Really insightful, engaging. Yeah. Lisa Berry here is my on-air producer. My assistant in or my partner in all sorts of she's helping me. She's helping for other people to hear this message. That's the way I gotta put it. Lisa says, "Oh, a little conversation." Oh, a bunch of little compliments going back and forth to each other. Tatiana, so what has been experienced is real me. An interpretation of an experience is mind. Yes. You are always experiencing you. The mind says you're experiencing something else. You are always experiencing you. What else would you be experiencing? Who else would be doing the experiencing? Somebody else? Right? It's just, this is the illusion. The mind says it's something else. I'm experiencing other. Right? There's no other. It's all you. And who's that you? It's not Tatiana. Tatiana is part of the experience. Tatiana is part of the experience. Who's actually having the experience? The I am, the one self, God, Buddha nature, Shiva being, the one being, the Parabrahman. That's the only one there is. And it is appearing in as all of us. Plan, thank you for your beautiful answer, G. Made my eyes tear up. And yes, I'm a dude. Quit. Yay. Yay. Ava, thanks for another great satsang. By the way, love listening to your Neptune Sings music, especially just before going to sleep. All right, I have that on the site, don't I? Or did I give that away? I can't remember. Well, I've exhausted the queue. Wonderful. Well, thank you all once again for being here with me in satsang, being here with yourself in satsang. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Whether there's a special someone to be with or not, be with you, because it's always you being with you anyway. And I mean that in the deepest, most heartfelt way. I know some of these spiritual ideas, you know, we're all one and all that, can just stay in the mind, but it's real. It's not just a nice spiritual idea. It's real. We really are one being. Patricia said, awesome. I love the fine layers of discernment you bring to each of us. You hear us. Yes. Thank you, Patricia. David and I, beautiful satsang, GP, the presence of truth. Every utterance is fresh and new, and yet so familiar. Isn't it amazing how I can say the same thing over and over and over again, and yet it's not the same. It's got this beautiful freshness and nowness to it. I don't know if you'll see this before the end, but if happy to do some production editing stuff for your radio as Lisa's doing. And I can do it for free. Be happy to help in any way. Well, thank you very much, Dale. I did something I'd never done before. I always like to do production myself. Sometimes I call in. We do the show. It's live. Lisa handles all the timing and everything. So because we break for some commercials and the like. The Om Times folks, they do the recording. They do everything. I just show up and go off. I love it. But I do keep you in mind. I haven't forgotten, you know, the stuff you did before and the things I've seen. So I got from Hope Wellington Marshall. Penny, thank you. Hi G, what does it mean to collapse duality within? From NM. May I ask you to pray for me? Sure, happy to, Faith. Hi G, what does it mean to collapse duality within? It's just a seeing. That's all it is. Duality is a concept. That's all it is. You know, here I'm holding this cup here, and I can think of this cup as being in me, in my consciousness, a product of consciousness, and then it's me, like a dream at night, right? Or I can believe it to be that I'm bounded by the body, my senses. This is something that exists external to me. That's duality. when I see this is like a dream, that the waking state is like the dream state, in which it is all subjective and it is all within consciousness, the duality collapses. But our thoughts and our way of thinking and our approach to things has been so consistently trained into dualistic thinking that the habit of the dualistic thoughts continues for a while. But once you just begin to grasp it, and don't fight it, how do I collapse the non-duality? Just keep looking. Just keep looking. Just what I say is this in me or is this out of me? And that's the whole of it. The third bodhisattva practice that Buddha gave was perceiving the non-existence of external existence. That's it. And then it's not like things have to go away. The things as a separate objective entity goes away, and then the thing shines with the light of truth, with the light of the self. And so everything is the self. And that is the true duality, non-duality. It actually transcends dual and non-dual, because to appearance, this cup will always be the cup. But what it really is me knowing myself. It is the self manifesting itself in itself, and everything is made of itself. Is it possible to undo a consequence? Sometimes not, right? And the fact that it's sometimes not is what makes our hearts open up. You know, the things that have really broken my heart open to wisdom have been simply the realization of some things I did that I couldn't undo. Pain that I caused some people that I couldn't undo it. Trust that had been betrayed. And when I really felt the impact of that and that I could not undo it, something broke wide open. I mean, to really see the real consequences of our actions. And then you become so conscious of your actions, what you're doing, how loving are they, and you naturally become a seeker of the most loving, of the most beautiful, of the most right in the moment. And then where you can make it right, then you do. If you can restore something, you do, right? In relationship, of course, it can almost always be restored. So yeah, and then when it can't, when it really can't, that's when you just humbly take it into your heart and recognize that you've been shown something very, very precious. Exactly how significant and precious this life is, what we do matters, and you matter, and everyone else matters as well. It's an important thing for the human being to experience. It's beyond guilt and all of that. It's remorse, which comes out of a deep seeing, a seeing that is one with compassion and empathy. And you're free. Weather is beautiful. And some aren't fun to drive in. I like driving in it. Thank you again for the thoughts. I like it. I enjoy it. I know I'm a little crazy. I stood in the ocean when the hurricane was coming when I was in Florida too, until I got banged around so badly. I realized, okay, I'm not going to wait till it gets stronger, but I needed to feel it. I know, crazy, but hey, I like it. Yes, Faith, I will pray for you. I'll pray for everybody, but I'll be very specific for you. Thanks for Satsang. You're welcome. Mindful. Also, I know, a completely different topic. What do you think of ghosts, paranormal? Should we fear them? Don't fear anything. If they're there, they're just another experience. They're another being in a different state. I meet ghosts all the time, people who don't know who they are. They don't have to be ephemeral. You don't have to be able to stick your hand through them to meet ghosts. That part of you which is unrecognized by you, unknown by you, is a ghost. So you embrace them, like any other being, non-being. They all come down to you. So no, don't fear anything. Thank you for remembering me. I remember you too. Okay, I'm here if you need me. Great. Thank you for every satsang you do. You'll always be remembered. Appreciate your response. Thank you. Good, Susan. Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay to have your heart broken. It's okay to feel love, to really feel what it's like to be human. That is the doorway to the infinite. It's through the heart. The heart combined with the finest, precise use of the mind in Vedanta is the magic key that opens the door to the infinite. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here with me. I love you all. Namaste.